First of all, Christie also doesn't know what provinces in eastern Ukraine he actually wants us to fight for. Chris, your version of foreign policy experience was closing a bridge from New Jersey to New York. Yeah. So do everybody a favor, just walk yourself off that stage, enjoy a nice meal, and get the hell out of this race. When it comes to Nikki...
Some people say I should drop out of this race. Really? I'm the only one saying Donald Trump is a liar. He pits Americans against each other. His Christmas message to anyone who disagrees with him? Rotten hell. He caused a riot on Capitol Hill. He'll burn America to the ground to help himself. Every Republican leader says that in private. I'm the only one saying it in public. What kind of president do we want? A liar or someone who's got the guts to tell the truth? New Hampshire, it's up to you. I'm Chris Christie, and you bet I approve this message.
A few moments later.
Chairman here in New Hampshire, he knows we run campaigns to win. My goal has never been to be just a voice against the hate and the division and the selfishness of what our party has become under Donald Trump. It's also been to win the nomination and defeat Joe Biden and restore our party and our country to a new place of hope and optimism in this country. I've always said that if there came a point in time in this race where I couldn't see a path to accomplishing that goal, that I would get out. And it's clear to me tonight that there isn't a path for me to win the nomination, which is why I'm suspending my campaign tonight for President of the United States. I know, and I can see it from some of the faces here, that I'm disappointing some people by doing this. People who believe in our message and believe in what we've been doing. I also know, though, it's the right thing for me to do.
All right, guys, so we got some big news to talk about. Big news, right? So big that you can't miss, right? Huge news, okay? Really, really huge news, okay? News that quite literally may cause an earthquake as Krispy Kreme Christie has officially dropped out of the GOP primary. Now, again, this story, guys, I gotta tell you, this story is absolutely hilarious, okay? It is so sweet, okay? Just like them Krispy Kreme donuts that Chris Christie loves so much, right? He can't get enough of them. Okay? We gotta talk about this because Chris Christie, okay, he is now dropping out of the race. And I must remind you guys before we get into this, okay, that you're not supposed to call Chris Christie fat, right? You're not supposed to call him a fat pig, okay? I got to remind you guys before we get into this.
The latest morning consult poll has us far ahead. We're at 59%, and the others are at like 12. One is at 12. I think that's the sanctimonious, but he's rapidly being caught by Ramaswamy. Who's good? No, Christie's, he's eating right now. He can't be bothered. Sir, please do not call him a fat pig. That's very disrespectful. Don't call him. See, I'm trying to be nice. Don't call him a fat pig. You can't do it. You can't do that. So now, because you're not allowed to do that, and therefore we're not going to do it, okay? We want to be very civil, right?
Yeah, so you see, now you heard that, okay? So we got to get serious about this, right? Let's get serious about why Krispy Kreme Christie dropped out. Because Krispy Kreme, he basically has built this brand as the #1 never Trumper in the race, okay? His whole thing was that I'm running to stop Trump from winning. Now, obviously, that has been an epic disaster because ever since the guy got into the race, Trump's poll numbers have been going up. Now, I'm not saying correlation equals causation, but I'm just saying that Krispy Kreme and his attacks against Trump have epically failed, okay? But despite all that, the mainstream liberal media has dragged Krispy Kreme on their network, CNN, MSNBC. They have had Krispy Kreme on quite a bit just to talk trash about Trump, okay? Now, here's the thing. As we get closer to the Iowa and New Hampshire primaries, again, Chris Christie knew that he had no chance in Iowa, and the only place that he was really campaigning was New Hampshire. His strategy was that he was going to win New Hampshire, and if he wins New Hampshire, then he has a chance to take on Trump, because the idea is that you need to win either Iowa or New Hampshire in order to have a chance. Okay, if Trump wins Iowa and New Hampshire, then it's over, right? So Krispy Kreme was going all in on New Hampshire. He wasn't even campaigning in Iowa, which tells you, again, what this is all about. Like, he's not campaigning for president, right? You're not even trying to campaign in all the states, okay? You're not running to be president of New Hampshire. You're supposed to be running to be president of the United States. But that's not the way he was campaigning. Again, because his whole campaign was anti-Trump, right? He's so Trump deranged that's why he's running for president. Everybody knew it. But when it comes to his polling in New Hampshire, this is where he faced a problem, okay? Not only was it a problem in regards to his general support, but it's also a problem for the establishment, because the establishment really does not want Trump to win, okay? And they're going to go with whoever has the best chance of taking on Trump. Initially, that was Ron DeSantis. Now that Ron DeSantis is losing momentum, I mean, he's absolutely getting destroyed in New Hampshire. DeSantis' only hope is to win Iowa, and Nikki Haley is basically about to pass him in Iowa. She could beat him in Iowa. It has become clear that Nikki Haley is the establishment pick. She is the front runner, right? So the establishment is banking on Nikki Haley beating Trump in New Hampshire. Again, as you can see, look at this poll right here. You have, again, this is a best case scenario for Nikki Haley, right? This is like absolutely best case scenario. Trump at 39%, Haley at 32%, and Christie at 12%. Now, if you look at the poll, what you can see here is that when you look at the first GOP 2024 presidential candidate choice among voters, you have Trump at the top, and then you have Nikki Haley, and then you have Christie, right? So the idea is essentially that if Christie drops out of the race, then Nikki Haley is going to get all of his votes. So now the pressure campaign is on. So you had a lot of Neville Trumpers, like, for example, the governor of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu, come out and pressure Christie to drop out. And then you also had radio host Hugh Hewitt, who also relentlessly pressured and questioned Christie on why he's still in the race, because the Neville Trumpers were essentially arguing that, look, you staying in the race is actually helping Trump win, okay? You're actually helping Trump win by staying in the race, which is absolutely hilarious considering how that was the opposite of why Christie allegedly got in the race in the first place. Take a look.
But Governor Sununu's a liar.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is firing back tonight on calls from Governor Chris Sununu to drop out of the race for president.
No, I wasn't the one who went off on a fantasy trip to Iowa to pretend I'm running for president when he didn't have the guts to do it himself.
During a one-on-one interview with WMUR tonight, Christie pushed back on suggestions from Sununu that his campaign was on its last breath.
It's a shame to see Chris Sununu selling himself out. But, if he wants to say something to me, he's got my number. He's had it since he ran in 2016. And he's never hesitated to use it when he's needed financial help for his campaigns.
Sununu's comments came during an appearance on CNN this afternoon, in which Sununu, a Haley supporter, suggested he'd heard from members of Christie's steering committee that there are conversations happening about calling it quits.
He's running out of resources. He's not campaigning in any other state. So I think those discussions are happening.
But Christie says that's simply not true.
He doesn't have to worry about the Christie campaign. He's looking at the person who makes the decisions for the Christie campaign.
He says he'll stay in the race as long as he sees a path forward.
There came a moment in time where I felt like I had no path to winning. I've said this since June. I would get out. And that has nothing to do with Nikki Haley or anybody else in the race. That's about me and my supporters and the people that I owe.
I would love to vote for you in a general election. I identify with you more than any candidate in the race, and you guys know I'm a Nikki Haley supporter, but I'd rather vote for you because we agree on more issues, including trans kids and family parental rights. But I have to ask you, you and I uniquely know how dangerous Donald Trump is. And we know that once he seals up the nomination after Super Tuesday, if he does, the only two places to stop him are the courts, which might not, or a general election where currently he's beating Biden in the polls. Why, knowing how dangerous he is, even with Nikki Haley's flaws, would you not put your full weight behind Nikki Haley to stop Donald Trump in his tracks by this spring?
Yeah, because Nikki Haley can't beat him because she doesn't want to. And Alyssa, look, the bottom line is Nikki Haley can't beat him because she doesn't want to.
She doesn't want to.
No, she doesn't want to. If lightning struck her tomorrow and she got the nomination, she'd take it. But that's not what she's playing for. And look, Alyssa, you know this. When politicians don't want to commit to something, they don't. And what that means is it's counting it in. So give DeSantis credit for this. He said he would not take vice president under Trump under any circumstances. I've said I wouldn't take vice president under Trump. Nikki Haley won't say it. And I talked to a politician in South Carolina this weekend who knows her really well. And I said, am I reading this wrong? And he said to me, Governor, she would eat glass to get the vice presidential nomination under Trump. That's how ambitious she is. So Alyssa, look, I'd be happy to support someone who had two traits. They had a better chance of beating Trump than I did, and they were actually willing to campaign against Trump.
And maybe
she's unwilling to say it.
Be honest.
Well, that's part of what
and trust me, I find it craven and deeply frustrating. But the latest polling has you beating her, has you at a margin that if all of your support went to Nikki Haley would put her over Trump in New Hampshire. Wouldn't that still be a better gambit for democracy to have Nikki Haley as the nominee?
And how insulting to my voters that you would think that they would immediately just waltz over to Nikki Haley, even though Nikki Haley's called Donald Trump the right president for the right time.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Even though she has said, I love this one. For some reason, chaos and drama follow him wherever he go. That's like an arsonist saying, for some reason, burning buildings follow me wherever I go. I mean...
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Now, side note, just because I have to ask this question, guys, because I've been wondering this for a long time. Alyssa Farrah Griffin, who claims to be conservative, said that, well, I would support you, Christie, because of trans kids. What the hell about Alyssa Farrah Griffin makes her a conservative? I haven't figured it out yet, right? Is it because she supports tax cuts, right? Is that what it is? Because there's nothing about her that suggests that she is a conservative at all, right? I'm just saying, when you're talking about supporting somebody because of trans kids, I'm not sure if that makes you conservative. But anyways, so what you see here, right, is that there's a campaign from the Never Trumpers, okay, a.k.a. the establishment, because the establishment is Never Trump, okay? You guys always got to keep that in mind. There's a campaign for the Never Trumpers to make Christie drop out of the race, right? Because the idea is that Christie, his support will go to Nikki Haley, giving Nikki Haley a chance to win in New Hampshire. And if Nikki Haley wins in New Hampshire, then she could have a chance going into Super Tuesday, maybe in her own state of South Carolina, even though she's getting her ass blown out in her own state. But maybe she has a chance if she wins New Hampshire. Now, Christie is basically saying otherwise, even though he ultimately decided to drop out, right? He decided to drop out of the race. However, he did not immediately endorse Nikki Haley, who the establishment wants his votes to go to, okay? And it would be very awkward for him to do that, considering how he's literally spent weeks talking trash about Nikki Haley. Again, it would be super awkward for him to turn around and endorse Nikki Haley. And again, part of the reason why he's not endorsing Nikki Haley is probably because he knows that Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis both don't have a snowball's chance in hell of actually beating Trump. And he got caught essentially admitting this on Hot Mic at a campaign event. Take a look.
People don't want to hear it, Wayne. They don't want to hear it. We know we're right, but they don't want to hear it.
Right.
And there's, we couldn't have been any clearer.
Right.
We couldn't have been any more direct or worked any harder. So,
and let's not forget she spent $68 million.
Yeah.
I mean, we spent like
when you give land to China and places like that.
Yeah, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, she spent $68 million so far, just on TV. Spent $68 million so far, $59 million by DeSantis, and we spent 12. I mean, who's punching above their weight and who's getting a return on their investment, And she's going to get smoked. And you and I both know it. She's not up to this.
She hasn't even been.
And she's still 20 points behind Trump in New Hampshire, right?
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And he's still going to carry Iowa, right?
Yes. Oh, I talked to DeSantis called me, petrified that I would.
He's probably getting out after Iowa.
Well,
yeah. So you seen that? You heard that? Okay. Christie caught on Hot Mic saying that Nikki Haley is going to get smoked, okay, despite spending $60 million, right? $60+ million. Ron DeSantis spent, what, $50+ million, okay? Both of them probably are not going to win, okay, for the most part. I mean, like, again, lightning will have to strike in order for Nikki Haley to win, right, even in New Hampshire. But again, what you guys see is that there's hundreds of millions of dollars being spent, set on fire, really, to try to stop Trump, and they still can't stop Trump, okay? But again, this is the role of big money in politics. Who are funding these people? Again, Never Trumpers, establishment types, and Democrats, right? This is what's happening. They're spending this money to try to stop Trump via Nikki Haley. Who knows? Maybe some of them could be supporting Ron DeSantis. Who knows? I mean, definitely Never Trumpers are supporting DeSantis. Probably not so much Democrats, but they're definitely Democrats that are behind Nikki Haley. And then you got, the billionaire donors supporting the lawsuits against Trump. Again, this is what I try to tell you. If you guys really want to drain the swamp, you have to get big money out of politics, guys, right? I mean, you're seeing what they're trying to do here, okay? So with that being said, this is fascinating because Christie swore up and down that, hey, I'm not dropping out. I have the best chance of beating Trump. Me being in the race is hurting Trump, right? I'm the one that can take down Trump by attacking him. Now, we know that's not true. And it seems that Christie didn't even believe his own nonsense because he decided to fold to the pressure, which, again, it's very hard to make Christie fold. I mean, it's damn near impossible to physically make a guy like Christie fold, right? So you know that the pressure was intense, right? There was a lot of intense pressure to get Christie to fold, okay? But he folded, right? Whatever pressure was behind Christie was so enormous, right? Bigger than him, right? I can go all day with this. Again, the pressure was so enormous that the guy decided to drop out, right? Because that's how Trump deranged that he is, okay? He's so Trump deranged that he bought into the idea, he clearly bought into the idea that the best chance of Trump losing is for him to drop out and his votes either go to Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis, okay? Which, again, is incredible because the reason why he got into the race in the first place is because he's Trump deranged. He's so Trump deranged, he was like, I'm going to run for president to try to stop Trump. His only campaign strategy was not talking about himself or anything he wants to do. He was talking about Trump. And now he decides to drop out because the best chance of Trump losing is for him to drop out, right? This is what they were saying. So, again, that's what's happening here behind the scenes with Christie because, again, he is an establishment shield and he sings to the tune of the establishment. And because he is a puppet, the puppet masters pull the strings on Christie to get him up on out of the race. And, again, that's where the irony comes in. The guy got into the race to stop Trump because he claims he had the best chance of stopping Trump. And ultimately, he drops out because him dropping out is the best chance of Trump losing. So, with that being said, will Christie's votes go to Nikki Haley? Again, I highly doubt it because Christie spent all his time attacking Nikki Haley, right? When he wasn't attacking Trump, he was attacking Nikki Haley. Okay, I think he went as far as to say he wouldn't be on the same ticket with Nikki Haley, right? So clearly he doesn't like Nikki Haley. So I'm not sure exactly what the logic is behind him dropping out and all his votes going to Nikki Haley. If I had to guess, most of his votes are probably going to go to either DeSantis or go to Trump, right? And if it does go to Nikki Haley, some of his votes goes to Nikki Haley. It's probably not going to all go to her, and it may or may not be enough to actually beat Trump. But who knows? We'll see. I have no clue. I think that New Hampshire is more of a wild card than, Iowa or some of these other states where Trump has a significant lead. I mean, there are polls out there that show that Nikki Haley is within striking distance. So again, this is a Hail Mary, right? This is desperation from the establishment having Christie drop out. But what you can see is how all this stuff is coordinated, guys. It's coordinated. And this is why I try to tell you guys that a lot of this stuff is rigged, man. It really is. Like, this is behind the scenes rigging and finagling with the primary in order to try to get the outcome that they want, which is for Trump to lose. Okay? So, Republicans, they don't outright basically rig their primaries like Democrats do, right? Where they're just like, nah, we're not going to let anybody run against Joe Biden in these states. No, they don't do that. What they do is that they basically control who's allowed to be in a race and who's not allowed to be in a race, okay? And that's how they basically try to affect the outcome. So what you're saying, again, is a push, a last-ditch effort from the establishment to try to have Nikki Haley beat Trump. And with that being said, what I believe what's going to happen is if Ron DeSantis performs poorly in Iowa, right? Let's say he finishes in third place behind Nikki Haley. DeSantis is going to drop out after Iowa, right? That's probably what's going to happen because at that point, he'll now have the establishment and the pressure on him for him to drop out because he'll be the reason why Trump wins if he doesn't drop out going into New Hampshire, if he does not win Iowa, or if he finishes in third place behind Nikki Haley. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.